Hello students, my name is Ruchika. I welcome you to English Academy. यहाँ पर आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे आपके CBSE क्लास 10th की बुक्स में ये पोएम है राइम ऑफ द एंशियंट मैरिनर. The name of the poet is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I'll tell you the topics which I'll cover. First of all, I'll talk about the poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Then I'll give you a background of the poem. Then we'll have an explanation of it and then it will be followed by a summary. So let's get started. First of all, the poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He was an English poet, literary critic, यानी कि वो पोएट्री और लिटरेचर को एनालाइज भी करते थे एंड ही वॉज ऑल्सो अ फिलोसोफर. His famous works are The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. This is the same poem which we will read. Then another famous work of his is Kubla Khan, and then there is Biographia Literaria. This is his autobiography. Now I'll give you a background of this poem. This is written in ballet poetry. Now what do I mean by ballet? Ballet means this is a story which is written in the form of a poem. आप एक कहानी को प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं पर प्रेजेंट करने का जो फॉर्मेट है वो पोएट्री का फॉर्मेट है, यानी कि इसमें कुछ ऐसे लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस यूज हुए हैं जो एक पोएट्री में यूज होते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज अ पोएम. Basically, this story is the story of a sailor. The sin committed by the sailor, his punishment, and then the release from his guilt of doing the wrong act. There is a very strong message conveyed by the poet in this poem. The message is that a sinner, एक इंसान जो कोई जुर्म करता है, जो कोई क्राइम करता है, कैन नॉट हैव पीस ऑफ माइंड. उसको कभी भी शांति नहीं मिलती बिकॉज उसको हमेशा गिल्ट फील होता है कि उसने एक गलत काम किया है. एंड फाइनली ही इज पनिश्ड बाय गॉड. उसको भगवान सजा जरूर देते हैं. नाउ लेट अस कम टू द एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ दिस पोएम. हियर आई कवर द फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द पोएम. As you all know, this poem is a very big poem. It has 7 parts. And in all it comprises of 625 lines. पर आपके सिलेबस में पार्ट 1 और पार्ट 2 है. So first of all, let us see the explanation of part 1. An ancient mariner stops one out of a group of 3 wedding guests. The wedding guest who is stopped by the mariner, he describes the mariner as having a long grey beard and shining eyes. He asks the sailor his reason for stopping him. He says, that is, the wedding guest says that he is getting late for the wedding as the bridegroom and his family is ready for the wedding. The lavish feast for the wedding is set and the sound of the wedding music can also be heard, which indicates that the wedding ceremony has begun. The wedding guest also says that he is close to the bridegroom and so he cannot be late for the wedding, and he is desperate. That is, he really wants to go to the wedding. The old sailor holds the guest tightly with his thin hand and starts telling him his story. Now this old sailor is also very desperate to tell his story to someone, and so he holds the guest tightly. This angers the wedding guest and he calls him a madman with a grey beard. He calls him a loon, that is a madman. He commands him to leave him at once. The wedding guest tells the sailor that please leave me. The mariner hypnotizes the guest with his glittering eyes, and the guest, like a 3-year-old child, listens helplessly to the mariner. Now, as the wedding guest has told the mariner to leave him, he leaves him, but still the guest is captivated by the mariner's eyes And so the guest is very helpless, just like a 3-year-old child who is helpless, who cannot do anything. The wedding guest listens to the mariner. And so finally, the mariner has his will, he has a listener for his story, and he continues to tell his story as the guest sat on a stone helplessly. He says that their ship sailed off the harbor on a happy note. So everyone was very happy, the crew was cheerful, and they sailed from the harbor. There was a church, lighthouse, and the hill in the vicinity. So this is the scene which the sailor describes when their ship left the harbor. They could see a church, a lighthouse, and a hill in the vicinity around them. Next he says the sun rose up in the sky on their left. Now when he says this, that the sun rose up on their left, the sun rises in the east, and that means that the east direction was to their left, which implies that they were sailing towards the south direction. Now over here in the poem, when you read it, you come to know that the poet is personifying the sun. He calls the sun as he. That means that a non-living object, that is the sun, he is given a comparison with a living object when he is called as he. Gradually, with every passing day, the sun became stronger and finally it was overhead. Now when the sun is overhead, it means that their ship has reached the equator region, because at the equator region, at the time of noon, the sun is directly overhead. Further, what happens at this moment, the wedding guest heard the wedding music, which signifies the arrival of the bride. Suddenly there is loud music and musical instrument of bassoon is heard, and this signifies that the bride is arriving for the wedding. So with this music, the wedding guest is released from the hypnotism of the mariner's eyes, and once again he shows his desperation to go to the wedding by beating his chest. Now the wedding guest revolts. उसको बहुत ज़्यादा जल्दी हो रही है शादी में जाने की, और एक बार फिर से उसको याद आ जाता है कि उसने शादी में जाना है और वो लेट हो रहा है. The poet describes the bride and compares her beauty with that of a red rose. She is accompanied by a procession of happy singers and musicians who are playing wedding songs. Despite protesting, the wedding guest is held by the mariner's glittering eyes and has no other option than to hear his story. तो अभी भी wedding guest wedding में नहीं जा पाया है. एक बार फिर से मैरिनर ने उसे हिप्नोटाइज कर लिया है अपनी ग्लिटरिंग आईज से, और फर्दर फिर वो अपनी कहानी उसको सुनाता है. The mariner continues his story that a powerful southern storm started, which with its powerful wings drove their ship towards the south. Now here the poet says overtaking winds. So overtaking winds means that the wings of the storm was so powerful that they overtook the ship and they drove it along with itself towards the south direction. The ship was bent forward towards the front like a person who is trying to escape from his enemy, and the enemy over here is the storm. But the storm was so powerful that the ship went with great speed towards the south amidst the loud roar of the storm. Finally, they reached snow and mist, which implies that their ship reached the Antarctic region, that is the region of the South Pole, where there is a lot of snow, ice and mist. It was very cold and huge masses of ice as high as the mast of the ship floated around them as the ship got stuck in the ice over there. Now there are huge masses of floating ice. So the sea is also full of ice. And so this ice got stuck in the ship and the ship was stranded over there. Then the poet says, The snow was emerald green in color. Now there are many poetic devices which the poet has used in this poem. It is full of literary devices, and in order to know more about these devices, you must follow the link which is given below. Go over there and there you can get a more detailed discussion of this poem. Now further, the floating masses of ice and the huge hills of ice had a shining surface. They were gleaming and shining. There was no sign of life all around them. Now this area is not inhabited, there are no people, and so it was lifeless. There was ice all around them which made strange sounds as if a person is in fit. Just then, out of the fog, out of nowhere, an albatross bird came flying. As it is considered to be a holy bird, the sailors welcomed it to be a messenger of Jesus Christ. The bird became a companion of the crew. It ate the food which the crew gave it. Then a good thing happens. The ice cracked and gave way to the ship which was stuck in it. So finally, with the arrival of the albatross bird, a good thing also happened, and that was the ice cracked and gave way to the ship which was stuck in it for so many days. The sailors considered the albatross to be a good omen, as its arrival had helped them sail once again. Now, as the arrival of the albatross bird was a good signal for them, so they hailed it in God's name. They said that it was a good omen for them. And once again, their ship started sailing. Also, another good thing happened. A good wind from the southern direction started, which further made it easier for their ship to sail out of the land of snow and mist. So two things happened with the arrival of the albatross bird. Both these things were favorable for the ship. First of all, the ice cracked and their ship got way and it started sailing once again. And the second thing was that a good wind also started blowing from the southern direction, which made their ship easier to sail out of this land of snow and mist. So this albatross bird became their companion and came to the ship for food and to play with the crew whenever they called out for it. The bird sat at the mast or the sail of the ship every day at a fixed time, and this fixed time the sailor calls it Vespers 9. Vespers 9 means that a particular time when people pray in the church. So similarly, the bird was also so punctual that it arrived at the ship at the fixed time every day. Just then, the wedding guest notices a change in the mariner's expressions and asks him the reason for it. All of a sudden, this mariner becomes very sad and serious, and the wedding guest notices that there is a change on his face. The mariner confesses to the wedding guest that he committed a sin. He committed a crime, a wrong act. He says he took out his arrow and bow and all of a sudden he killed this albatross bird with it. So this is the sin which the sailor had committed. And over here the first part of the poem comes to an end. Let us go to the explanation of the poem, part 2. The mariner continues his story that on their right, the sun rose up in the sky. Now, when he says that the sun rose up on their right side, it means that they are sailing towards the north direction. That is why the sun rose towards their right. The poet once again personifies the sun when he calls the sun as he. So he is again using this literary device of personification. Once again, I will remind you that if you want to know the details of all the literary devices which the poet has used in this poem, we have a detailed discussion of this poem which is given on the link which is given here. Do go to that link and you can get the detailed discussion over there. Now, the helpful wind from the south kept on blowing, but now there was no bird to accompany them as it had been killed by the mariner. The mariner admits that he had done a grave crime by killing the holy bird and that they would face serious consequences of sadness and sorrow. Now here the mariner is saying that उसको ये realization थी कि उसने एक बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी जो कि उसने इस holy soul को मार दिया, और उसको अब ये भी पता था कि अब उनको सजा मिलेगी. सजा क्या होगी? उनको दुख मिलेगा, उनको बुरा फील होगा इस गिल्ट की वजह से कि उन्होंने एक गलत काम किया है. The crew blamed him and called him a bad person for killing the holy bird which had made the helpful wind to blow. अब सारे के सारा जो क्रू था उसकी शिप का, वो भी मैरिनर को ब्लेम कर रहा था और कह रहा था कि वो एक बुरा इंसान है क्योंकि उसने इस होली बर्ड, इस नोबल सोल को मार दिया जिसने इनकी मदद की थी लैंड ऑफ स्नो और मिस्ट से बाहर निकलने में. Just then, a glorious sun rose in the sky, which was neither very bright not very dim. So it was a favorable weather. Then the poet says that the sun resembled the halo which surrounds God's head. आप सबने देखा होगा कोई भी भगवान, कोई भी महान इंसान की जो फोटो होती है उसके सिर के पीछे ऐसे सर्कुलर एक शेप बनी होती है जो कि बहुत ब्राइट होती है. इसको हम कहते हैं हेलो. ऐसे ही शेप, ऐसी ही लुक थी इस सन की जो कि ना तो बहुत ज्यादा ब्राइट था, ना ही बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग था और ना ही एकदम डिम था, बिल्कुल फेवरेबल था. तो एक बहुत ही अच्छा वेदर फॉर्म हो गया था. Now the ship's crew changed its verdict and said that he had done the right thing to kill the bird which had brought fog and mist. So here we come to know one characteristic of this crew, that is they are opportunist. जब उनको ये लग रहा है कि उनको प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही हैं तो वो ब्लेम करते हैं मैरिनर को कि उसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही हैं. अब जब एक फेवरेबल वेदर आ गया है तो वो कहते हैं कि मैरिनर ने अच्छा किया जो कि उसने इस बर्ड को मार दिया क्योंकि ये बर्ड फॉग और मिस्ट लेकर आई थी. Further, the sea was very silent and the ship's trail could also be seen in it. The poet says, the white furrow followed. So this furrow is the trail of the ship. पानी में एक शिप जब जा रही है तो पीछे पीछे एक ट्रेल बनती जाती है. This is called the furrow. And as the sea was very silent, it was very calm. So this furrow could be seen in the sea. Suddenly the wind stopped. All of a sudden जो एक favorable wind शुरू हुई थी वो बंद हो जाती है and with it the ship also stopped sailing in the middle of the sea. There was silence all around and the crew became very sad. The only sound heard was of their conversation. आसपास कोई आवाज नहीं थी क्योंकि कोई लोग नहीं थे. सी बहुत ज्यादा साइलेंट थी तो ओनली साउंड जो उनको सुन रहा था वो था उनकी आपस में बातचीत का. Also the sun which was perfect, it became very hot and huge. धीरे धीरे गर्मी भी बढ़ने लग गई. The sun was copper in color, so it was blazing hot. It was right above their head at noon. Now when the sun is right above your head at noon, it means that now they were stuck at the equator region. So once again, their ship has reached this equator region which is very hot. Days passed by and they remained stranded because there is no wind and the ship cannot sail. The poet compares the ship and the ocean to those in a painting which are still and motionless. So he says that the ship and the ocean were so motionless, they were absolutely still, just like a ship and ocean are painted in a painting. There was water all around and it was so hot that the wooden boards of the ship shrunk due to the heat. Although there was water all around them because they were in the middle of the sea, there was not even a single drop of water that the thirsty men could drink. Now, as they had been stranded in the sea for many days, they had finished off with their supply of drinking water. उनके पास पीने को पानी नहीं था. And we all know that the salty sea water is unfit for drinking. They could not drink the water which is there in the sea. Now the mariner feels a shiver run down his spine. जब वो अपनी कहानी सुना रहा है तो एकदम से उसको shivering होती है. And he prays to God. वो भगवान को याद करता है. When he is reminded of the horrible ocean which had started to rot. ऐसा लग रहा था कि समुंदर गलने लग गया है. And strange creatures with slippery bodies crawled on the surface of the slippery sea. The creatures danced peculiarly. वो कहता है with reel and rout. This is a type of dance. और ऐसे लग रहा था कि वो जो slippery creatures हैं वो ऐसा अजीब सा डांस कर रहे हैं. And the sea was like the witch's oil which burned and emitted different colors. ये जो कंपैरिजन ड्रॉ किया है पोएट ने सी का विच के ऑयल के साथ. ये विच ऑयल उन्होंने लिया है शेक्सपियर के प्ले मैकबेथ से, जहां पर एक विच होती है, वो ऑयल प्रिपेयर करती है और वो ऑयल अलग अलग डिफरेंट कलर्स एमिट करता है, ब्लू, ग्रीन एंड व्हाइट. इन द फेस ऑफ हार्डशिप, the crew felt that the ghost of the dead bird had followed them 9 fathom deep within the ocean, all the way from the land of mist and snow where the old sailor had killed it. अब जब क्रू को इतनी ज्यादा मुश्किलें फेस करनी पड़ रही हैं, उनको इतनी गर्मी लग रही है, उनकी शिप स्ट्रैंडेड हो गई है, उनके पास पानी नहीं है पीने के लिए, तो अब उनको ये लगता है कि उनको सजा मिल रही है. किस चीज की सजा मिल रही है? एक गलत आदमी का साथ देने की, एक सिनर के साथ होने की. और उनको ये लगता है कि जो बर्ड है एल्बेट्रॉस, उसकी सोल उनका पीछा कर रही है. और 9 fathom इज अ मेजरमेंट ऑफ डिस्टेंस. समुंदर की डेप्थ को मेजर करने के लिए यूनिट यूज होता है फैदम. एंड दे से कि वो जो सोल है वो बहुत ज्यादा डीप समुंदर में थी, उनके पीछे पीछे आ रही थी, इसलिए उनको पता नहीं चला. और वो लैंड ऑफ मिस्ट एंड स्नो, जहां पर उसको मारा गया था, वहां से ही उनका पीछा कर रही है. और उसी ने उनको कर्स किया है, उनको बद्दुआ दी है कि उनके साथ भी बुरा होगा, जो कि उन लोगों ने एक सिनर का साथ दिया है. They realized that their suffering was a result of the curse given to them by the holy bird's soul. The crew was suffering from acute lack of drinking water and their throats became dry. The poet compares their tongues to the drying plants which wither and die due to lack of water. जैसे कि प्लांट्स बिल्कुल सूख जाते हैं जब उनमें हम पानी नहीं डालते, ऐसे ही मैरिनर को लगता है कि उनकी जो टंग्स थी वो भी बिल्कुल सूख गई थी और ड्राई हो गई थी बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ वाटर. दे वर अनेबल टू स्पीक एंड फेल्ट चोक्ड अपॉन बीइंग फिल्ड विद स्मोक. वो बोल नहीं पा रहे थे, उनको ऐसा लग रहा था कि उनके मुंह में धुआं भर गया है और वो चोक हो गए. The crew blamed the mariner for all this suffering because he was the one who had killed the noble bird. अब एक बार फिर से ये opportunist crew है जो इसने अपना स्टैंस चेंज कर लिया है. अब ये फिर से मैरिनर को ब्लेम कर रहा है क्योंकि उसकी वजह से ही उनको इतनी ज्यादा सफरिंग हो रही है. They removed the holy cross worn by the mariner in his neck because they considered him unworthy to wear it. अब मैरिनर ने अपने गले में एक नेकलेस पहना हुआ है जो जीसस क्राइस्ट के क्रॉस का है. क्रू ये सोचता है कि मैरिनर अनवर्दी है ये क्रॉस पहनने के लिए बिकॉज ही हैड किल्ड द क्राइस्ट मैसेंजर. उसने जीसस क्राइस्ट की ही मैसेंजर, उस होली बर्ड एल्बेट्रॉस को मार दिया था, इसलिए वो कहते हैं कि तुम्हें कोई हक नहीं है ये क्रॉस अपने गले में पहनने का. Instead, they hung the dead bird around the mariner's neck in order to make him realize the grave sin which he had committed. अब वो क्रॉस की जगह मैरिनर के गले में उस डेड एल्बाट्रॉस बर्ड को टांग देते हैं ताकि उसको ये याद रहे और उसको ये रियलाइज हो कि उसने एक बहुत बड़ा गलत काम किया है. Now let us have a summary of this poem. An old sailor with glittering eyes stops a wedding guest as he wants him to listen to his story. The wedding guest is forced to stay and the mariner begins by saying that their ship left the harbor on a happy note. The ship was sailing towards the south and suddenly a powerful storm started which drove it towards the South Pole. There were huge masses of ice and their ship got stuck in it. Suddenly, an albatross bird came by through the mist and along with it, the ice cracked and gave way to their ship. As the bird is considered a messenger of Christ, the noble soul, and also it was a good omen for their ship, the crew hailed it in God's name. A helpful breeze from the south also started, which helped their ship in sailing out of the storm. All of a sudden, the mariner, in a spurt of the moment, killed the bird with his crossbow. He committed a sin by killing this innocent bird. The crew initially blamed the sailor for killing the noble bird. Later, when the weather became good, they said that he had done the right thing by killing the bird which had brought snow and mist. For some time, the ship sailed smoothly towards the north, but suddenly the wind stopped. The sun became hot and the ship was stranded in the middle of the silent sea. Gradually, their stock of water finished and they were suffering. The sea seemed to rot and slippery creatures crawled on its surface. The crew hated the mariner and blamed him for their suffering, which was due to the curse of the bird's noble soul which had been following them. As a mark of punishment, the crew removed the holy cross from the mariner's neck and hung the dead albatross bird instead. Thank you students for watching this and do subscribe to our channel, The English Academy.